South bank of the Thames. A girl stands outside a brothel door. She's 18, maybe younger. Inside, men are waiting, and her life, what's left of it, is about to be sold by the hour. Tonight, we're telling her story. The one history tried to bury. Before we begin, hit like if you're ready. Drop a comment with where you're watching from. Maybe dim the lights. Because what comes next, most people couldn't survive a single day. Let's begin. You're standing on the south bank of the Thames River, in a district called Suffolk. This isn't respectable London. This is the place where everything forbidden happens. Bear-baiting pits where animals are torn apart for entertainment. Gambling dens where men lose their wages on loaded dice. Theatres that preach sin from wooden stages while pickpockets work the crowds. And tucked between the alehouses and the docks, the stews, the brothels. They're legal here, regulated even, licensed by the Bishop of Winchester himself, which is why the women who work here are nicknamed Winchester geese. Ironic, isn't it? The church profits from sex work while calling these women sinners. But you're not thinking about irony right now. You're 16 years old, maybe younger, and you're standing outside a 2-story timber building with faded paint and a creaking sign that swings in the wind off the river. The sign doesn't say brothel. It doesn't need to. Everyone knows what this place is. Inside there's noise, laughter that sounds hollow, music from a badly tuned lute, the smell of cheap ale mixed with sweat and something else, something sour and sweet at the same time, human waste in the gutters, rotting fish from the docks, the metallic tang of blood from the bear-baiting pit down the street. This is where you'll work, where you'll live, where you'll survive. If you survive. Because survival, that's all this is. You didn't choose this life. Nobody does. Maybe your father died and left your family with nothing but debt. Maybe your mother couldn't feed another mouth, so she pushed you out the door, with tears in her eyes, and told you not to come back. Maybe you were a servant in a manor house, and the master's son got you pregnant. You thought he loved you. You thought he'd marry you. Instead, when your belly started to show, his mother had you thrown out with nothing but the clothes on your back and a reputation in ruins. Or maybe you were just poor, desperately, hopelessly poor, and this was the only option left. The Tudor economy doesn't care about women like you. There are no jobs for unmarried women without connections, no safety nets, no shelters or charities that will take you in without demanding your soul in return. The church will help you if you're willing to spend the rest of your life on your knees scrubbing floors and begging forgiveness for sins you didn't commit. But that's later. We'll get to that. Right now, you're standing outside this door, and behind you, the city of London rises across the river. All those respectable houses, all those churches, all those people who will pretend you don't exist while simultaneously depending on you to absorb their husband's lust. So here you are, a girl with no family, no money, and no choices. The door is in front of you. Weathered wood. Iron hinges that need oiling. You can hear your heartbeat in your ears. Feel your stomach twisting. You want to run. But where would you go? So you reach for the handle. Welcome to the stews. And what happens next? It will break you. Slowly, completely, in ways you can't even imagine yet. The door opens. A woman stands in the threshold. She's older, maybe 30, though she looks 50. Her face is lined like old parchment. Her teeth are mostly gone, leaving dark gaps when she speaks. And there's a hardness in her eyes that makes your stomach turn. This is the abbess, the madam, the woman who runs this place. She's wearing a dress that might have been fine once, maybe stolen, maybe given to her by a customer years ago. Now it's stained and worn, the fabric thin at the elbows. She looks you up and down like your livestock at a market, taking inventory, calculating value. Her eyes linger on your face, your breasts, your hips. You feel naked even though you're fully clothed. You a virgin? She asks. Her voice is rough, like she's smoked too much tobacco or screamed too many times. You nod. Or maybe you lie. It doesn't matter. Virgins sell for more, so that's what you'll be tonight, whether it's true or not. She'll check later, with her fingers, roughly, clinically. If you're not a virgin, she'll know, and she'll adjust your price accordingly. But for now, she seems satisfied. Name? You tell her. Your real name. She shakes her head. That won't work. Too plain. You'll be Rose or Violet, something pretty. She's already erasing you, remaking you into whatever sells. She pulls you inside. The room is dim, lit by tallow candles that smell like burnt fat and give off more smoke than light. The floor is sticky with spilled ale, and God knows what else. The walls are stained with water damage and soot. There are cracks in the plaster. You can see the timber framing underneath. There are other women here. 5, 6. It's hard to tell in the low light. Some are getting dressed, pulling on shifts and lacing bodices with practiced efficiency. Some are drinking, passing around a jug of ale and laughing too loudly at something that probably wasn't funny. One is sitting in the corner by herself, staring at nothing. Her eyes are hollow, empty. Nobody smiles at you. Nobody welcomes you. One woman glances up, takes in your young face, your clean clothes, and looks away with something like pity in her eyes. Another sneers, your competition, fresh meat taking away her potential earnings. The abbess hands you a piece of cloth, a shift, thin and stained with old sweat, and other things you don't want to identify. Change, she says. Strip down and put this on. No privacy, no modesty, just strip down and put it on. You hesitate. She sighs, impatient. You want to work here or not? Because there are 10 other girls outside who'd take your spot in a heartbeat. So you do it. You turn your back, as if that matters, and pull off your dress. The one your mother made for you. The one you've worn for 2 years, mended and remended. You fold it carefully and set it aside. You're in your shift now. The one piece of clothing that's truly yours. That too, the abbess says. You strip it off, standing there naked in a room full of strangers, while they watch or don't watch. It's hard to tell which is worse. You pull on the shift she gave you. It's too big, or maybe too small. It smells like the woman who wore it before you. You wonder what happened to her. Then she takes you upstairs. The stairs creak under your feet. The handrail is sticky. Upstairs is a narrow hallway, with doors on either side. 4, 5, you lose count. She opens one. The room is small, barely big enough for a bed, and calling it a bed is generous. It's a wooden frame with rope supports. On top, a mattress, if you can call it that. Just a lumpy sack stuffed with straw. There's no pillow, no blanket, just a rough wool cover that smells like mildew and old sweat and something else, something animal. No window, just 4 walls and a ceiling so low you could touch it if you reached up. There's a bucket in the corner, for washing, or pissing, maybe both, and that's it. This is your room now. This is yours, the abbess says. You'll work here, you'll sleep here, and you'll give me half of everything you earn. Half, she continues. I provide the room, the food, the protection. You couldn't do this without me, so half is fair. It's not fair, you both know it, but you don't argue, because what choice do you have? She leaves, and you're alone. You sit on the edge of the bed. The ropes sag under your weight. The straw rustles. You can hear sounds from the other rooms, footsteps, voices, creaking bed frames. You can hear the street below, shouting, laughter, someone singing badly. You want to cry, but you don't, because crying won't help. You're alone, for about 5 minutes. Then the door opens again. No knock, no warning, just opens. A man stumbles in. He's drunk. You can smell it before you see him. Ale, sweat, piss, all mixed together into a cloud that enters the room with him. His doublet is stained. His breeches are unlaced. His hands are filthy. Dirt under the fingernails. Calluses on the palms. He's a labourer. Dock worker maybe. Or a carpenter. Probably in his 30s. Though it's hard to tell. Hard living ages people fast. He looks at you. Really looks at you. And for a second you think, maybe he'll say something. Ask your name. Pretend this is something other than what it is. But he doesn't. He doesn't say hello. He doesn't ask your name. He just starts unlacing his breeches. This is your first night, your first customer, your first time selling your body to survive. You want to run, you want to scream, you want to disappear into the floor and never come back. But you don't, because if you run, you'll starve. If you scream, the abbess will beat you. And if you disappear, well, nobody would even notice. So you close your eyes and you do what you have to do. The whole thing lasts maybe 10 minutes. It's awkward, painful, degrading. He grunts, finishes, pulls his breeches back up, and leaves. No words, no payment directly to you. He paid the abbess downstairs, just leaves, and you're alone again, lying on that straw mattress, staring at the ceiling. Your body hurts, your mind is numb. You want to wash, but there's only that bucket of cold, dirty water in the corner. So you don't. You just lie there, and you think, this is my life now. That's the job. Not pleasure, not passion, just survival. One night at a time. And here's what nobody tells you. The first night is the easiest, because after that, you know what's coming. After that, the door opening becomes the worst sound in the world. After that, you start counting. Counting customers, counting hours, counting the days until something, anything changes. But nothing changes. It only gets worse. You wake up the next morning, if you can call it morning. There's no window in your room. No way to tell if it's dawn or midday, or still the middle of the night. But you can hear activity below. Voices, movement, the sounds of a building waking up. Your body aches. Everything hurts between your legs, your back from the sagging bed, your head from dehydration and stress. You slept maybe 3 hours, maybe less. Every time you started to drift off, you'd hear something. A door opening, footsteps, a woman crying, a man shouting. The walls here are thin. You could hear everything last night. The other women working, bed frames creaking rhythmically, men grunting, sometimes women making fake sounds of pleasure, sometimes real sounds of pain, someone crying in the room next to yours, sobbing quietly into her pillow. You wanted to comfort her, but you were too afraid, too overwhelmed, so you just listened, and eventually, somehow you fell asleep. Now you're awake, and your body is screaming at you, but there's no time to rest, no time to process, no time to feel, because the abbess is already at your door, pounding on it. "Get up," she shouts. "Time to earn your keep." You drag yourself out of bed. Your shift, the one you're still wearing from last night, is twisted around your body. It smells like sweat and sex. You want to change, but you don't have anything else. So you straighten it as best you can and open the door. The abbess is standing there, with her arms crossed. "You did well last night," she says. Not as a compliment, as a statement of fact. "He paid extra for a virgin, so I'm giving you your cut." She hands you 3 pennies. 3. For what you did, for what you endured. 3 pennies. It's not enough to buy a loaf of bread. Not enough to rent a room for a single night anywhere else in London. But it's yours. The abbess continues. "Now let me tell you the rules, because if you break them, you're out. And I don't give second chances." You nod. Silent. Obedient. Because what else can you do? The stews might be legal, but they're controlled. Tightly. The Bishop of Winchester, the church, owns most of these brothels. And the city has regulations, laws, a whole system designed to profit from you while keeping you in your place. She starts listing them. Rule 1. You cannot leave the stews without permission. That's right. You're not free. You live here. You work here. You're basically a prisoner. Oh, technically you can leave. Technically, this is voluntary. But where would you go? You have 3 pennies to your name. No family, no references, no prospects. If you try to leave and make it in the outside world, you'll be arrested for being a vagrant or a masterless woman. In Tudor England, women without male guardians are seen as criminals by default. So you stay, because staying is the only option that doesn't end with you in jail or dead in a ditch. Rule 2. You cannot refuse a customer. Doesn't matter if he's violent, doesn't matter if he's diseased, doesn't matter if he makes your skin crawl or if you can smell the rot on him from across the room. If he pays, you work. Refusal means punishment, a beating from the abbess, or being thrown out onto the street with nothing. And you've already learned, out there is worse than in here. At least in here, you have a roof, a bed, food sometimes. Out there, you have nothing. Wait, there's more. Rule 3, you must be examined regularly for disease. Once a week, a searcher comes through, usually an older woman hired by the parish. She's not a doctor. She has no medical training. She's just someone willing to do a job no one else wants. She'll make you strip. She'll inspect your body. Check for sores, rashes, lesions, signs of the pox. It's humiliating, degrading. She doesn't care about your dignity or your privacy. She pokes and prods like you're an animal. And if she finds something, if you're sick, you're locked away, sometimes in a hospital. And Tudor hospitals are just places people go to die. Sometimes just in a back room of the stews where you're left to rot until you either recover or stop breathing. But the cruelest joke, the men who give you the diseases, they're never examined, never punished, never blamed. It's always your fault. You're the vector, the source, the contamination. Never mind that they brought it to you. Never mind that they're the ones spreading it from woman to woman, brothel to brothel. No, it's always the whore's fault. Rule 4. You cannot work on holy days, Sundays, religious feast days. Any day the church decides is sacred. On those days, the stews are closed, by law, by decree from the very same bishop who profits from them the other 6 days of the week. The doors are locked, the customers are turned away, and you don't work, which sounds like a blessing, a day of rest, but it's not. Because you don't work, you don't earn. And if you don't earn, you don't eat. The abbess doesn't feed you out of charity. Food costs money. And if you're not bringing in money, why should she spend it on you? So on Sundays, you go hungry, or you beg, or you steal, whatever it takes to survive until Monday. And the final rule, the one that seals your fate forever, you cannot marry. That's right. Even if a man wants to marry you, and trust me, that almost never happens, you can't. Legally, you can. There's no law explicitly forbidding it. But socially, practically, you're finished. Because once you're a prostitute, you're permanently marked, stained, ruined. No respectable man will have you. And if an unrespectable man wants you, well, he probably can't afford to keep a wife anyway. You're not a woman anymore. You're a whore. And in Tudor England, that word doesn't just describe what you do. It defines what you are. It becomes your identity, your essence, the totality of your existence. You're not Mary or Anne or Catherine. You're the whore. So you follow the rules, you keep your head down, you work, and you pray, if you still believe in prayer, that you'll survive long enough to see another day. The abbess finishes her speech. Understand? You nod. Good. Now get ready. You have customers waiting. And she leaves. You're alone again, standing in that tiny room with 3 pennies in your hand and a list of rules that feel more like shackles. Nobody prepared you for this part. The rules aren't there to protect you. They're there to control you, to keep you trapped, to keep you profitable, to keep you exactly where they want you, at the bottom, forever. Let's walk through a typical day, if you can call it typical, because no 2 days are exactly the same, but they're all variations on the same nightmare. You wake up, or more accurately, you drag yourself out of bed around midday. The stews don't really get going until afternoon. Mornings are slow, most customers are working, or sleeping off hangovers, so you sleep late, not because you're lazy, but because you were working until 3 in the morning. You didn't sleep much even then. The walls here are thin. You could hear everything. The other women working in the rooms next to yours. Bed frames creaking, men grunting, women making sounds, some fake, some horribly real. Someone was beaten last night. You heard it. The slaps, the crying, the man shouting. You put your pillow. Wait, you don't have a pillow. You put your arm over your ears and tried not to listen. But you heard anyway. Someone else was laughing, drunk, singing bawdy songs off key while stumbling down the hallway. And someone was crying in the room next to yours. Quiet, desperate sobs that went on for hours. You wanted to help, but what could you do? You're barely surviving yourself, so you just lay there, waiting for sleep, hoping tomorrow would be better. It wasn't. Now it's morning, midday, and you have to get ready. First washing. Sort of. There's a bucket of cold water in the corner of your room. It's been sitting there for days. You're supposed to share it with the woman in the next room, but you haven't seen her use it. The water has a film on top. Dust, dead insects, who knows what else. No soap. Soap is expensive. The abbess doesn't provide it. No towel. You'll just air dry, or wipe yourself with your shift. You splash the water on your face. It's shockingly cold. It smells stale. You splash some under your arms, between your legs. That's it. That's your bath. You'd kill for a real bath. Hot water. Soap that smells like lavender or rose. But that's a fantasy. A memory from before. Now this is all you get. There's no time for more. And honestly, nobody cares if you're clean. The customers certainly don't. Most of them smell worse than you do. Next, your clothes. You don't have many. 2 shifts, 1 skirt, a bodice that's more holes than fabric. Everything is stained, sweat, blood. Other things you don't want to think about. You wear the same thing every day. Wash it when you can, which isn't often. You hold up 1 shift to the dim light. There's a stain you don't recognise. Brown, crusty. You put it on anyway. The bodice laces up the front. Some of the laces are broken. You tie them as best you can. The skirt is wool. Heavy. Itchy. It makes you sweat even in winter. But it's all you have. Makeup. Forget it. The only women who can afford face paint are the high-end courtesans. The ones who work for nobles and bishops in private houses with silk sheets and perfumed water. You're not one of them. You're a stew woman. Bottom of the barrel. Your selling point isn't beauty. It isn't charm or wit or conversation. It's availability. You're here, you're cheap, and you'll do what they want. That's all that matters. By early afternoon, the customers start arriving. You can hear them downstairs. Rough voices, laughter, the sound of coins changing hands. The abbess takes their money at the door. Then she sends them upstairs. She doesn't ask what you want. Doesn't check if you're ready. She just sends them up. Sailors, dock workers, apprentices, sometimes merchants, occasionally a minor nobleman looking to slum it for a thrill. They come in smelling like fish, sweat, and ale. They're rough, impatient, often drunk. You take them upstairs, one after another, after another. Some are quick, in and out in 5 minutes. Others take longer. They want to talk. They want you to pretend you like them. Some are violent. They hit you, hold you down, leave bruises you'll see for days. Some are diseased. You can see the sores on their skin, smell the rot, but you can't refuse them. So you close your eyes and do your job. There's no romance here, no seduction, no pleasure. It's transactional, mechanical, soul-crushing. He pays the abbess at the door. You get half if you're lucky. Most customers pay 2 pennies. You get 1. Sometimes they pay more. For virgins, for specific acts, for things you don't want to think about. Sometimes they pay less. If you're not young enough, not pretty enough, not enthusiastic enough. The whole thing lasts maybe 10 minutes, sometimes less. Then he leaves, and the next one comes in. This goes on for hours. You don't get breaks, you don't get meals, you don't get to say no. The abbess sends them up as fast as they arrive. 6 customers, 7, 8. You lose count after a while. Your body goes numb. Your mind detaches. You learn to float above yourself, to not be present, to survive by not being there at all. You stare at the ceiling and count the cracks in the plaster. 17. You've counted them 100 times. You notice a spider web in the corner. The spider is gone, or dead, but the web remains, like you. And the worst part, you don't get to keep most of the money. The abbess takes her cut, half of everything. Sometimes more if she provided extras, a cleanish sheet, a bit of food, a candle. What's left? Maybe 4 pennies at the end of a day. if you're lucky. 4 pennies, not enough to rent a room anywhere else, not enough to eat well, not enough to save, just enough to keep you alive, keep you working, keep you trapped. The church takes its cut too. The Bishop of Winchester collects fees from every brothel. Tithes, he calls them. Taxes on sin. The landlord takes his cut. Rent on the building. And what's left for you? Scraps. You're working yourself to death, and you're still poor. By the time the evening comes, you're exhausted. Your body hurts. Your mind is numb. You've been with 8 men today. Maybe more. Your jaw aches. Your back hurts. Between your legs is raw and painful. But you can't stop. Because if you stop working, you stop eating. And if you stop eating, well, you've seen what happens to the women who can't work anymore. They disappear, quietly, into the streets, into the river. The abbess doesn't announce it, doesn't explain. One day they're here, the next day they're gone, and someone new takes their room. Nobody asks where they went. Because everyone knows, so you keep going, one customer at a time, one night at a time. This is your life now. And then it gets darker, because we haven't even talked about the customers yet. Not really. Not all customers are created equal. Some are tolerable, quick, quiet. They do their business and leave. But others are monsters. And some of them are worse than you can imagine. Let me tell you about the types. First, the regulars. These are the men who come back week after week. They know your name, or at least the name the abbess gave you, because you're probably not using your real one anymore. Rose, violet, whatever pretty flower they decided you were. Some regulars are tolerable. There's William, the baker's apprentice. He's young, awkward. He apologizes every time, like he's embarrassed to be there. He's quick, gentle even. He pays and leaves. He's not the problem. The problem is men like Thomas. Thomas is a merchant, successful, wealthy enough to afford better than you. But he comes here anyway, because he likes the power dynamic. He doesn't just want sex, he wants you to perform. He wants you to smile, to laugh at his jokes, to act like you enjoy his company, to pretend that you're here by choice, that you're thrilled to see him, that this is anything other than what it is. And if you don't, if you show even a flicker of disgust or boredom, if your smile doesn't reach your eyes or your laugh sounds hollow, he complains to the abbess. She wasn't enthusiastic enough. She didn't seem interested. She just lay there like a corpse. And the abbess punishes you, not him, you, because you failed to perform adequately. So the next time Thomas comes, you smile wider, you laugh louder. You tell him he's handsome and strong and everything he wants to hear. You perform, even though it makes you want to vomit, even though every word tastes like ash in your mouth. You perform, because that's the job. Then the violent ones. These men don't just want sex, they want power. They want to hurt someone, and they've learned that they can hurt you without consequences. There's Robert, big man, dock worker, arms like tree trunks. He hits you, not playfully, not accidentally, deliberately. He likes to choke you, hold you down, watch you struggle. He leaves bruises on your arms, your neck, your face, finger-shaped bruises that turn purple, then yellow, then finally fade just in time for him to come back and make new ones. And there's nothing you can do. You can't fight back. If you do, he'll hit you harder, maybe kill you. You can't scream, because if you do, the abbess will blame you for disturbing the other customers. You must have provoked him, she'll say. What did you do to make him angry? So you take it, you endure it, you bite your tongue until it bleeds, you squeeze your eyes shut, you try to go somewhere else in your mind, and afterward, when he's gone, you sit on that filthy straw mattress and try not to cry. Because if you start crying, you might never stop. Then the diseased ones. The men who come to you already sick. Syphilis, gonorrhea, the French pox, scabies, lice, God knows what else. You can usually tell. The sores on their skin. Open, weeping lesions that they don't even bother to cover. The smell. Sweet and rotten at the same time. Like meat left in the sun. The way their skin looks. Discoloured. flaking, sometimes falling off in patches, but you can't refuse them. The abbess doesn't care if they're diseased. Money is money. So you close your eyes and pray you don't catch it. You pray to a God who probably stopped listening to you the moment you walked through that door. Spoiler, you probably will catch it. Everyone does eventually. It's not a matter of if, it's when, and how bad it will be. Then the ones who don't pay. Oh yes, this happens more than you'd think. A man finishes, gets dressed, and just walks out. No money, no explanation, just leaves. You chase after him, but he's already gone, disappeared into the crowd outside. Or maybe he's still downstairs, laughing with his friends, daring you to accuse him publicly. You report it to the abbess, but she doesn't care. You should have made him pay first, she says, as if it's your fault, as if you have any power in this transaction. So now you've worked for free, and you still owe the abbess her cut, which means you're in debt, again. Which means you'll work twice as hard tomorrow to make it up. This is the cycle. This is the trap. You work, you suffer, you barely survive. And the men? They walk away. Untouched, unpunished, free. They go home to their wives, their families, their respectable lives. They wake up tomorrow and go to work, and no one judges them. No one calls them sinners. No one brands them or parades them through the streets, while you're left with the bruises, the diseases, and the shame. But wait, it gets worse, because the worst clients aren't always the violent ones, or the diseased ones, or the ones who don't pay. The worst ones are the ones who look you in the eye and see nothing. No person, no soul, just a body to use. They don't see you as human. You're a service, a commodity, an object. And that's the part that breaks you. Not the pain, not the hunger, not even the disease, the invisibility, the knowledge that to them, you don't exist as a person. You're just a hole to fuck. And when they're done, you'll cease to exist entirely, until they need you again. You'd think the women in the stews would stick together. After all, you're all in the same hell, right? You're all suffering, all struggling, all trying to survive. Surely there would be solidarity, sisterhood, support. But that's not how it works. Because in a place where there's never enough food, enough money, enough safety, women don't bond. They compete. There's a hierarchy. At the very top, the favourites, the women the abbess likes, the ones who bring in the most money, the ones who don't complain, who follow the rules, who make her life easier. Maybe they're prettier, or younger, or better at faking enthusiasm. Maybe they've just learned to survive by becoming indispensable. These women get the better rooms, the ones with actual windows, with mattresses that aren't completely infested with bugs. They get the cleaner sheets, or at least sheets that have been washed this month. They get first choice of customers, the ones who pay more, the ones who are less likely to be violent or diseased. They get slightly bigger portions of food. Not much better, but better enough to matter. And everyone else? You're fighting for scraps. If you're new, like you are, you're at the very bottom. You get the worst room, the most dangerous customers, the smallest portions. You get no protection, no consideration, no mercy. The other women don't welcome you. They don't teach you the ropes or warn you about the dangerous customers or show you the tricks for surviving. They see you as competition, another mouth to feed, another body taking their potential earnings. So they ignore you, or worse, they sabotage you. Margaret, one of the older women, tells a customer you're diseased. You're not, but he believes her and refuses you. You lose money. She gains a customer. Alice steals from your room while you're working. Your extra shift, the one you were saving to wash. Now you have nothing to wear while you wash the other one. You confront her. She denies it. The abbess doesn't care. Prove it, the abbess says. Otherwise, stop wasting my time. You can't prove it, so you let it go, and Alice smirks at you from across the room. The abbess encourages this. She likes it when you fight, when you compete, when you turn on each other, because divided women are easier to control. If you're all too busy fighting each other for scraps, you won't band together against her. You won't realise that the real enemy isn't each other. It's the system. It's her. It's the men. It's the church. It's all of it. But you don't see that yet. Right now, you just see Margaret stealing your customers, Alice stealing your clothes, the abbess playing favourites, and you learn to fight back. You learn to be cold, calculating, selfish, because kindness is a luxury you can't afford. But wait, sometimes, rarely, you'll find an ally. Her name is Joan. She's been in the stews for 10 years. A lifetime, really. Most women don't last that long. She's 35, though she looks 60. Her face is lined and scarred. Her hair is thin and grey. She's missing most of her teeth. She's not pretty anymore. Hasn't been for years. So she doesn't get many customers. The ones she does get are the absolute bottom of the barrel. But she's survived, somehow. And one night, after a particularly brutal customer leaves your room, she appears at your door. You're crying. Trying not to, but failing. Your face is bruised. Your lip is split. You can taste blood. Joan doesn't say anything at first. She just comes in and sits on the edge of your bed. The mattress sags under her weight. She looks at you with eyes that have seen everything. First time he hit you, she asks. You nod. Won't be the last, she says, not unkindly, just matter of fact. She reaches into her skirt and pulls out a small cloth. Damp. She must have wet it in her own bucket. Here, she says, handing it to you. Clean your face. You take it, press it to your split lip. It stings. Thank you, you whisper. She shrugs. We all been there. Then she tells you things you need to know. Don't trust the abbess. She'll sell you out the moment it benefits her. If a customer complains, she'll side with him. Always. Watch out for the man with the scar on his left cheek. Robert, he likes to choke women. 2 girls died from him already, but he pays extra so the abbess keeps letting him in. If you get pregnant, don't tell anyone. Hide it as long as you can. The moment she knows, you're out. The water in the bucket. Boil it if you can sneak downstairs to the fire. Otherwise, you'll get sick. And the rashes, the sores, don't ignore them. They'll get worse, and once the pox sets in, you're done. She tells you all this in a flat, emotionless voice. Not out of kindness exactly, but because she remembers being new, being scared, being you, and maybe, just maybe, she doesn't want to see you end up like the others. The ones who disappeared, the ones who died in childbirth, the ones who caught the pox and were locked in a back room until they stopped breathing, the ones whose names no one remembers anymore. Why do you stay? You ask her. She looks at you like you're stupid. Where else would I go? She says. I'm 35. I got no teeth, no family, no money, no man's gonna marry me, no employer's gonna hire me. She gestures around the tiny, filthy room. This is it. This is all there is. So I stay, and I survive. Then she stands up. You will too, she says. Or you won't. Most don't. And she leaves. You sit there holding the damp cloth to your face, feeling the sting, and thinking about what she said. Most don't survive. But even these alliances are fragile. Because 2 weeks later, Joan gets sick, really sick. The pox, the one everyone dreads. She has sores all over her body, a fever that won't break, she can't work. The abbess moves her to a back room, locks the door. So she doesn't infect the others, the abbess says. You bring her food when you can, sneak scraps from your own meagre portions. You bring her water. Hold the cup to her cracked lips. She can barely speak, but her eyes say thank you. For 3 days, you do this. On the 4th day, you bring food to her door. It's locked like always, but when you knock, there's no answer. You press your ear to the door. Listen. Nothing. You try the handle. It opens. The abbess must have unlocked it. Inside, Joan is lying on a mattress on the floor. No bed frame, no blanket. She's not moving. You walk over, kneel down, touch her hand, cold. She's been dead for hours, maybe since last night. And no one came. No one checked. You want to cry, but you're too numb. You just close her eyes and walk out. Downstairs you tell the abbess. Joan is dead. The abbess barely looks up from counting coins. I know, she says. Someone will take care of it. That's it. That's the whole response. No funeral, no prayers, No moment of silence. Joan is hauled out that night and buried somewhere. You don't know where. Probably an unmarked grave or a mass pit. And the next day, a new girl takes her room. Younger, prettier, more profitable. It's like Joan never existed. And you learn something important. In this world, you're alone, even when you're surrounded by people, even when someone shows you kindness. Because at the end of the day, everyone's just trying to survive. And survival often means stepping over someone else. You learn that trust is a luxury you can't afford. You learn that friendship is temporary, fragile. You learn that in the stews there's only one person you can rely on. Yourself. And even that's not guaranteed, that loneliness. It's heavier than any bruise, sharper than any hunger. It sits in your chest like a stone, and you carry it every day. Because what else can you do? Now comes the part nobody wants to talk about. The diseases. Because if the customers don't kill you, the sickness will. Tudor England is a cesspool of illness. Plague, smallpox, typhus, dysentery, cholera. Death is everywhere. Constant, expected. But for women in the stews, there's an even more terrifying list. Syphilis, gonorrhea, chancroid, scabies, lice, the French pox. And it's not a question of if you'll catch something, it's when, and how bad it will be. Let's start with syphilis, the great pox, the French disease, the plague of the 16th century. It arrived in Europe around 1495, brought back by sailors, some say, from the New World, or from Italy, or France. No one really knows, but by 1520 it's everywhere, and it's killing people by the thousands. It starts small, easy to miss. A sore, just one. Usually where you had contact with an infected person. It's painless, doesn't hurt, doesn't itch, so you ignore it. Big mistake. Because within weeks it spreads, rashes all over your body, red, rough patches that itch and burn, fever. Your body feels like it's on fire. You sweat through your shift, shiver under your thin blanket, aching bones, deep throbbing pain in your joints, like someone is hammering nails into your